If you like the sweet science, get ready to talk boxing on the Gloved Fist podcast with top boxing writers Frank LOTIERZO and Jack Hirsch. Frank, a former amateur boxer out of Philadelphia, writes for NY Fights and can be seen on the Boxing Channel. Jack, an amateur boxer who competed in the New York Golden Gloves, was a 6-term president of the Boxing Writers Association. And now, here's Frank LOTIERZO and Jack Hirsch.
And we're back. Welcome to Gloved Fist. My name is Frank LOTIERZO, former writer, tried to be full-time observer, joined by former 6-term president of the Boxing Writers Association of America, Jack Hirsch. Jack, how are you tonight?
Good. I think I might owe you an apology, Frank, if you didn't see it, because I thought about giving you a call that the fights on July 4th were on TNT in the zone, so you could catch it on the TNT network. And something made me not call you because I thought a guy like you that socializes is out partying the evening of July 4th. You're not putting it aside to see Abdullah Mason in the main event.
Jack, you couldn't have set me up better, and you don't even know it.
I didn't know. We didn't prepare.
I usually am negative, and I rip boxing for all it does wrong. And let me just say this. What a pleasure it was this past Saturday night to turn on my TV, go to TNT, have a beautiful picture, and 3.5 hours of good boxing with Abdullah Mason, the head of the main event, against Albert Bell for the WBO lightweight title. And Jack, I got to tell you something. Look, were the 4 fights the best fights I ever saw? Well, the Mason fight, the Abdullah fight was good, but they weren't the best fights I ever saw, but they were good, and they kept my interest. And I watched all 4 of them, and I enjoyed the kibitzing between Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter and Tim Bradley. And the fights were good. And it was like I didn't have to worry about, am I going to be able to find it? Is the picture going to be good? The commentary was pretty good. The boxing was good. And I was entertained. I didn't even watch fireworks or go to them. I watched the boxing, Jack. So I would have bet that you were probably right. But on this night, no, I watched the boxing and I really enjoyed that. And I just wish we had more of that.
Frank, but once again, the show ended too late, way too late, because the moment the main event ends and they announce the decision, it's hard to shut the TV off. It's hard to shut your,
It was about 12:25, right?
Because you want to hear the post-fight analysis, especially you got guys like Tim Bradley, Terrence Crawford, Sean Porter. I want to hear what they have to say. And they're going to interview Abdullah Mason afterwards, sit down, talk with them. You want to hear them discuss things. And let's be honest, after any good main event, we're a bit wired. We really are.
Right.
Because we don't know, especially you don't know how a decision is going for sure, how a fight's going to end until it actually ends for sure. And you can't just shut the TV off. Okay, I'm going to sleep, and that's it. But it ends way too late. And just do a comparison, Frank. You're a big sports fan. NBA, it ends about 10:15 Eastern time, usually 10:30. The NBA playoffs, another matter, they kept it up a bit later. But think of the kids in high school. Think of what new fans are they making? Okay, Saturday night show on TNT, they maybe could make some new fans with that type of format. I'll give them that much. There's not school the next day. There's not work the next day. It was on a Saturday. Okay, they can get away with it for that given show. But all in all, these shows are ending too late. I was ringside the week before for the Boots Ennis Xander Zayas show, and the Dawn main event ended about 12:20 in the evening. I mean, what other sport? Tonight we have a big soccer match the USA's playing. The game starts at 8. It's going to be all over at approximately, I would guess, 10:45, 10:30, 10:45. Maybe it goes into overtime. Games are going to overtime. We could forgive the extra time. But the norm, it's going to end at a reasonable time for people to stay up.
Jack, I agree with that. But I will say this, and look, we've touched on this before, and I don't like that the fights, the main event starts so late. But of all the things that we pick on, that would be the last concession I could deal with. Like, if they don't fix that, I could deal with that better. But like, to have it on a platform that you can see it and the picture's good and everybody can find it, and you have guys there were no mismatches. All the fights were competitive. You had a nice main event with a title on a line between two undefeated guys with contrasting styles. And then, we even had the semi-main event. They had the open scoring, and and I'd like to discuss that.
I do want to discuss it, Frank, because I have been against open scoring my whole life. But for the first time, Frank, I can't believe it at this stage of my life. I'm moving towards being okay with open scoring the way they're doing it, because what does the suspense mean with the erratic judging we have? There was a fight, what was his name? Delonte Johnson, a guy from Cleveland on the undercard. I thought he lost this fight, 77-75. Okay, you want to call it a draw, 76-76. I'm good with that, even with a draw. But two of the judges had
overwhelming
78-74. But that's not an exception to the rule, Frank. That's more like the rule, and I am sick of it. Who needs the suspense? If you think it's going to be a close decision, and you hear one guy won by a very wide margin, say the heck with the suspense, if that's how it's going to be.
Well, Sean Porter said it during the broadcast when they were kicking this back and forth. I mean, I thought all the guys made good points, but the point that if I was there, I would have said what he said is, name another sport that they don't know the score.
But Frank, consider this too. If you're going to have open scoring, do it the right way. After every single round, they should know the total. The way it is, it's only partially open scoring.
Right, after 4 rounds, 8 rounds.
After the first 3 rounds, one fighter could think he's off to a good start. He's up 2 rounds to 1. And guess what? He could be down 3 rounds to none. So the way it's done after the 4th and 8th round, it's partial. And the way it's done now, a fighter's not going to know going into the last round. Let's say the scoring was even after 8 rounds, and one fighter thinks he's assumed complete control over the next 3 rounds. But in actuality, he's won 2 of the last 3 rounds and maybe lost 2 of the 3 last. He might feel going into the last round, I got this one. I knew what it was after 8 rounds, and so on.
Well, that was the counter argument.
Yeah,
that was the counter argument they made.
You've been against open scoring, I assume. I don't think we have.
I've gone back and forth with it, Jack. I haven't really been a big proponent of it, but as you, I'm more open to it. And again, for the one reason, the big reason is every other score, even a sport like wrestling, they know the score. It's like, why does boxing have to be different? And this way, it takes all the excuses away.
If the judging was good, the way it should be, okay? If you and I were judges and some other people judges, we wouldn't always agree. We would sometimes have a score that was maybe a little off, but there wouldn't be any bias there.
Out of 12 rounds, we agree on 10.
Yeah, or at the conclusion of the conclusion of the fight going into the last round, I should say, with 1 round left. If the fight is desperately close, us scorecards would mirror that one way or the other. But some of these judges, they have to fight locked up for one guy. I mean, I'm sick of it already. So who cares?
Okay, Jack, but what's the cause of that? Well, there's 1 or 2 reasons: ineptness or corruption.
They're not going to get new judges. It's proven now.
No, they're not going to get new judges.
Are never held accountable for how they score the fight, and we're given the same tired, stale line that, well, it's subjective. It's a matter of opinion. Of course, everything is a matter of opinion, Frank. You could get an axe murderer in the street, and I could say acquit him because he's on insanity. He's insane, so he's not really guilty. I could give that crazy interpretation. I mean, some things are obvious, some fights are obvious, some rounds are obvious. I don't want to hear subjective. We can debate the Ali Norton decisions, for example. You know, the second, especially the second and third fight. We can debate who we thought won. That's debatable. Some you could even debate Usyk Fury. I mean, you could. I mean, I thought
The
Usyk
first fight.
won both fights, but it's not beyond the realm of being, reasonable. If
You
Fury
can't
got
debate
the-
Holyfield and Lewis won.
Yeah, but even Holyfield Lewis won. I told you I had 6 rounds for Lewis clearly, 1 round for Holyfield clearly, and there were 5 rounds that could have gone either way. So you could make an argument that Lewis won 11 rounds to 1, just like you could make an argument that Holyfield won 6 of the 12 rounds. Same thing. But
Jack,
like,
the first fight,
in the first fight, yeah.
the Eugenia Williams fight, you had it 6-1.
Wait. You didn't hear me. Did you hear what I said, Frank? There were 7 rounds that were not close. They weren't even debatable. Lewis
Right.
won 6 rounds.
Holyfield won 1.
1 round. There were 5 rounds that were close enough to go either way. Now, the law of averages will tell you if you give Holyfield 3 of those 5 rounds, Lewis wins 8 rounds to 4. If you give Holyfield all what did I say? All 5 of those rounds, okay, then it's a
That's
draw.
a draw.
If you give Lewis all 5 of those rounds, he wins 11 rounds to 1. So it went anywhere from a draw to Lewis winning 11 rounds.
I had that fight 9-3.
Which is fine.
For Lewis.
Right. I had Lewis. I gave Holyfield 4 to 5 close rounds. So I had it 115, 113 Lewis, and I felt completely uncomfortable with that score. Very uncomfortable with that score. So
I think I had it 117, 111.
Right. Had I been a judge that night, I would have turned in a 115, 113 card for Lewis, and I wouldn't have felt comfortable with it because my thought process would have been, but Lewis in reality won by more than that. That would have been my thought process. But there's certain decisions, I mean, in the smaller fights, like I said, like in the prelim fight, that happened, the fighter from Cleveland, he gets
The opening fight.
The opening fight. I mean, I'm sick of it.
Yeah. I think his name was Davis. It's a shame.
You're mentioning, getting off that, right, the platform now. The 2 big heavyweight fights, and we could say with Tyson Fury is fighting Marish Waka, however you say his name.
Right.
He's fighting him in Thailand on July 24th. Okay, 2 weeks from this weekend. And that's going to be on a Friday. And the next day, we have the guy who was on our show, Christian Pranga, fighting Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia. But you make a great point. Who's going to be watching it? What kids are going to be watching it? I mean, a high school kid doesn't have the zone. And I don't even know what platform Fury's fighting on. I don't think that's on the zone. Okay?
I don't think it is.
I don't think I'm even going to be, and I'm not going to subscribe, Frank, to another outlet. Okay, I subscribe to the zone. I paid my $459 for the year, okay, to get all these fights, and I kind of gave in to that. This way I could see the Pranga, Joshua fight, for example, live as it's taking place, and some other, fights as well. And even that day, listen, that day too, Errol Spence is fighting Tim Tszyu. And that's a PBC Prime Video pay-per-view show. How is it a pay-per-view show? Errol Spence has not won a fight in a few years. He got obliterated by Terrence Crawford in his last fight.
And that was 3 years ago, the 29th of July, or it'll be 3 years, the 29th of this month.
And Tim Tszyu, I completely overrated. And he came crashing down. He lost several fights. He's not that good. And I know he's with Jeff Fennick now. Jeff Fennick, to me, is a first-class trainer. I think he can bring out the best in Tim Tszyu. but I don't think the best is that good. You know,
It
but
might be
maybe
enough to beat Spence, but it's not that good.
exactly. So you're dealing in a fight of complete negatives. That one guy's not that good, and the other guy we think is a shot fighter.
And and for them to have the goal to make that a pay-per-view fight. I mean, talk about being gouged without a gun. That shit, that's deplorable. That's deplorable. But Jack, let's talk about Abdullah Mason.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he was tested. I like the idea that, it not to the same degree, but it reminded me of the first Leonard Hearns fight a little bit, that the style was really bothering Mason. And then when it looked like it was going to be, he's got to stop him because he can't get a decision, he did turn it up. He went to the body. The kid is clearly talented. The other guy, Bell, fought a good fight, but he just couldn't hold him off the whole way. And I know you're going to disagree with this, but Mason reminds me a little bit of a southpaw version of Sugar Ray Leonard, the way he moves with his feet and the way he throws his punches. He's not as good. He doesn't hit quite as hard, but he reminds me of that type of guy who's versatile, who, if he has to, he can go and get you. But if you come to him, he can outbox you.
Yeah, Mason is very, very young. What is he, like 21?
22.
22. He could still improve a little. Yeah,
sure.
I look at fighters, their upside, and how far they can ultimately go. And once in a while, I label someone a generational talent, and I missed. Devin Haney, I missed, and I know you're giving me slack. You're saying, let's wait and see. And with Haney, the jury is still out. But Haney's not going, and I'm going to get off Haney in a moment. Haney's not going to be the next Pernell Whitaker, for example. Pernell Whitaker was a generational fighter. We agree on that,
Absolutely.
Who you could place amongst the all-time greats. Haney's never going to get there. Doesn't mean he's not going to be a Hall of Fame and have a heck of a career. I'm not saying that won't be the case. He won't be an all-time great the way I projected he could be. Abdullah Mason strikes me as that the upside isn't of a dominating great champion. Because if you look at the hard fight he was given against Sam Noakes, he had the dig down, hard-fought decision, and you compare him to Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis has got all the talent in the world. He might turn out to be a generational talent when all is said and done. We got to wait and see. Shakur Stevenson, to me, I could safely say, he's going to be a generational talent. You're right. But
you got to give Mason.
I just don't see it.
I agree with that, Jack. But you know what? Again, I'm going to be positive. He took a fight on short notice that gets an undefeated guy who's very hungry, who's has much more experience than him, who had a style that was hard for him to overcome. I got to give him credit. And he dug down and he showed, because Bell was having a really good night. He really was. It's like Mason couldn't get away from that right hand. I mean, he just could not get away from that right hand.
Wait,
that's what I'm saying. I'm giving Bell credit.
I'm not saying Mason shouldn't get some credit, because he absolutely should. But keep this in mind. Mason had a full training camp, training for a championship fight. Bell didn't quite have that. He was training for Andy Cruz, tough opponent. He had to cut his training camp a couple of weeks short to take this fight.
But Jack, it's hard to replace opponent. It's a completely different style. You're gearing for the one guy. It's a big deal at that level, especially against the guy who knew him.
They knew one another. They've sparred a lot. They're friends. This wasn't the type of fight where there was complete unfamiliarity. I mean, come on, it was like Howie and Spinks. They knew one another. Maybe they hadn't boxed one another in a long time, but you kind of know a guy's tendencies.
But Jack, still mentally, you get up for a guy, and I don't think Mason could have been up quite the way he could have been. I think he probably had to let down. But look, I'm going to give him credit, but I'm going to give Bell credit too. Bell fought a hell of a fight.
Mason went out and won the fight in the later rounds. He turned up the pressure. He turned it up a notch.
I think the fight was stopped too soon.
Yeah, I
A
don't think
little
it would
bit,
have.
a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, it was, but
One more exchange, just one more exchange. Don't let him take a beating, and then just stop it before he takes a beating. But
yeah,
I thought Bell, and he said it, that he, after as well as he fought, he deserved to go out on his shield a little bit more.
I hate
And I
that
go by how
term,
I felt at the time, Jack. When the fight was stopped,
Frank.
I thought, oh, that's a little early.
I hate that term when a fighter says, I should be allowed to go out on my shield. That's more or less conceding. I'm beaten, but I don't want you to stop it. I'm a warrior. Let me be counted out. Let me be, on the canvas stretched out where I can't continue. No, I don't think a fighter has the right to dictate that because that hurts the sport. What happens if Bell got seriously hurt?
I don't
I
want to
mean,
see that
it's
at
a
all,
sport.
Jack. I
I
don't.
mean, the worst thing would be the individual getting hurt far and away, but the sport gets hurt on top of that. I mean,
I
you're
just don't.
putting.
I just think he deserved to go out more. I didn't think he was that
I
hurt.
agree. Listen, I agree with that said,
And
but
all the commentators agree with that too. They all thought that was a quick hook.
but Rico Verhaven said the same thing. Oh, I should be allowed to go out on my shield. I mean, listen, doesn't make you think
He was hurt more than Bell, I think.
don't doesn't it make you think in June 1937 when Joe Louis knocked out Jimmy Braddock, Joe Gould, Braddock's manager said in the corner between rounds, I'm stopping the fight. And Jimmy says, I'll never speak to you again. He wanted to go out on his shield. And look what happened. He got laid out. I mean, all
But
these guys, yeah.
but Jack, guys that are champions or fighters, they want to know that when it's over that they exhausted everything they had, and I just don't
Yeah.
think that Bell quite was at that point.
Bill was
I really
fading in
don't.
the
I
later
don't think
rounds.
so.
But no, he
Wouldn't
was
change
fading.
anything because he wasn't getting out of the round.
He was tired. Yeah, but there you go. I mean, listen, certain fights, I'm going to agree with you in the later rounds. Certain stoppages, a fighter gets a quick hook. I'm always concerned, Frank, at the later rounds of the fight because look at all the fatalities. When did they take place? Later
Later
rounds of the
round,
fight.
smaller guy.
A guy, fighters aren't knocked out in 1 or 2 rounds and, die late on because of that.
No.
That's extremely rare. It happens late in the fight, they're dehydrated or whatever, and their resistance is down. But
Well, the other
I
side
see
of
your
that, Jack,
point.
is though, Jack, but Bell was taking shots to the body that were hurting him. It wasn't like his brains were really getting rattled. Only at the end did Mason catch him with some big shots.
Yeah, we were talking about matches before. We're talking about Devin Haney. You notice with these fighters, Frank, everyone is jockeying for position. They want to get the easiest fight they can for the most money. There's nothing wrong with that. Believe me, nothing wrong with that at all. But I love the idea of any fighter who truly is going to take on all comers, doesn't give a darn, as long as he's compensated properly. Okay? An example will be Devin Haney. There's talk of Devin Haney fighting Shakur Stevenson. Phil Haney's not going to allow his son to fight Shakur Stevenson unless the money is so ridiculously filthy. Okay? Then, anyone will fight anyone if the money is ridiculously good. Don't get me wrong. But instead, mark my words, Devin Haney's going to wait to fight the winner between Raleigh Romero and Teofimo Lopez because they're going to look at that as a winnable fight.
That's a winnable fight, right? He has a style for both of those guys.
Right. It's going to scare them. I mean, no one's going to want to fight Shakur Stevenson unless the money is so great. So kudos to Teofimo Lopez. He didn't have to take on Shakur Stevenson, yet he took the fight. He lost. And guess what? I think he's beating Raleigh Romero, and that's for Raleigh Romero sanctioning body belt. I get him confused. BABCBO.
Right.
He wins that fight. Now, guess what? One fight after that, Lopez is a champion again. And with lucrative fights on the horizon, and you want to know something? He'll deserve it, despite losing by a wide margin to Stevenson, because he
Absolutely
has the guts to take on Stevenson. He lost, and then he'll rebound, and he'll have a big fight, maybe Devin Haney next.
Connor, Ben, and Garcia are doing the same thing. they both see each other as a win. That they're not with minimal risk, and they're not going to go anywhere until that fight's made.
Well, I tell people, Frank, and we have a hard time adjusting to this. I think I've adjusted to it a little sooner than you and guys like Russell Peltz. It's all about the personalities. It's not earning your opportunity based on merit. Because Ryan Garcia, for whatever reason, he's charismatic. Whatever reason, kudos to him. People take to him for whatever reason, like he's like a rock star. But he's accomplished so little, that guy. Okay, and I don't want to backtrack. He got beaten badly by Raleigh Romero, got busted for steroids. With Devin Haney and
Tank took him apart.
Yeah, Tank knocked him out. Yeah, but it's what it is. It's the brand. It's the brand of the fighter that that makes fights. And we're seeing that this month. I mean, Errol Spence hasn't won a fight in ages, but he's somewhat of a brand. People think, oh, Errol Spence, he's fighting Tim Tszyu. Spence will be the attraction in the USA. And even Terence Crawford is coming on board. He says, I'm really looking forward to seeing Errol fight. I think he could be successful on the comeback. It'll be a privilege of mine to watch him. Crawford's being a gentleman, okay? He's shown respect to Errol Spence. And I'm a little disappointed in Errol Spence because after losing to Crawford, made no excuses at all. And now he's coming up with, oh, I had such a lousy training camp.
I heard that.
I wish he hadn't done that, because is anyone going to buy that, excuse that Crawford was just better. Say something. If you're looking for damage control, say, look, it was Crawford's night, and say the problem in boxing is that fighters don't fight one another enough. You fight one time, you have a bad night. That's all everyone remembers. And do a comparison to the best NFL quarterback. Say, look, Patrick Mahomes could throw 4 interceptions in one day. Terrence was great. It was his night. He was better than me. He kicked my behind. Don't ask me what's wrong with me. Give all the glory to Terence Crawford. That's what we want to hear, but we didn't.
I saw an interview this week on that subject, and Michael Nunn was talking about his loss to Tony, and I thought he really handled himself well and said, look, I was winning easy. You know what? I got a little full of myself, and he called me. He hurt me. It was over. He was the better man that night. I used to box him in the gym and handle him with no problem. He said, but on that night, you know what? He got the better of me. He won.
Yeah, listen, sometimes, Frank, excuses are valid. They really are. Nunn was beating Tony handily, dominating the fight. He wasn't lying. He like with Hearns getting stopped by Iran Barkley.
Oh, that fight was on the verge of being stopped.
Right, and you could say I had a lapse in concentration. I was winning easy. Everyone could see that, and I got nailed. Kudos to Barkley. You can't take your foot off the accelerator ever. That's the lesson to be learned. And then I don't know why. A couple of nights ago, I came across an interview with Ernie Terrell before I passed away. It taken in about 2014 or whatever. He was 2011. He was talking about the Ali fight and saying Ali had him in a headlock and was poking his thumb in his eye and
ran his eyes across the ropes.
Yeah, Terrell, I watched the fight. I loved Ernie Terrell, but he was fouling Ali a lot more than Ali was fouling him. And if Ali did what Terrell said, after you continuously being hit with rabbit and kidney punches, you've had enough, but I don't believe Ali did what Terrell accused him of per se. But in all fairness, Larry Merchant, I remember right when he wrote for the New York Post, wrote a column that said Ali did indeed use his thumb like a pitchfork, so it's how you
Ali was actually, other than holding guys' head down, he was actually a pretty clean fighter.
Yeah.
He grabbed him by the neck and hold him down later in his career. He didn't do that much in the 60s, in the 70s, but he was basically a pretty clean fighter.
Frank, I don't like to mention myself, when I was an amateur boxer, because I'm not in the league of these guys. But style-wise, it used to drive me crazy that, referees are telling a guy you can't hold behind the head. I mean, I used to spar Vito Antifermo. He's much shorter than me. He would come in close to me. I'd want to clinch. How I can't reach out for his shoulders so easily. I would grab him behind the head and pull him near me, and I would, so we'd be close together so they could break. Any Ali and Frazier, for example, these I don't fault Ali for holding in the second fight. What was Ali supposed to do when Joe got there? That was the smartest thing to do.
And in all honesty, as much as I love Joe, Joe sometimes would come up with his head and hit Ali in the chin, and he hit him on the hips a lot too.
And Tony Perez, who I think did the worst refereeing job I ever saw in the Ali Wepner fight. He was criticized in the rematch between Ali and Frazier. And yeah, the 7 seconds that he stopped the action before the round ended, even though it had no bearing on the outcome at all, that was a colossal mistake, but it had no bearing on the outcome.
No bearing
at all.
None.
But he made a great point why allowed Ali to hold. He said, but Joe wasn't working on the inside. Okay? If Joe was working on the inside,
but Jack, if he pulls you in really close, it is hard to work though. If he pulls you in really close, he puts it and he clamps down behind your head, it is kind of hard to punch. Okay. And Ali did do that.
Okay, Ricky Hatton complained about Floyd Mayweather, all his holdings, saying he couldn't execute his fight. I didn't see Floyd doing anything wrong. Floyd did what he's supposed to do. You have an aggressive fighter coming after you. It's called clinching. I mean, people use the term holding for clinching. Clinching used to be a smart thing to do years ago.
Fighting on the inside, right.
Fighters were taught how to clinch. The problem is...
Well, I can give you an example. I can give you an example where a referee, I don't think he altered the outcome, but he prevented one guy from using the only advantage he had. Now, you know what fight that was.
Wait. Say that again. Let me get you.
I don't think the referee in this championship fight, I don't think his antics changed the result, but it did affect one guy, the loser, really negative, and that was Ruiz and Jones.
Okay.
Jay Nady did not let them fight on the inside at all. He as soon as Ruiz got in close, he pushed them apart.
There was a fight. Now I remember Joseph Ekbeko against Abner Maz. And the referee...
I saw that, but forget it.
That was the worst. That was such a horrendous refereeing job. The referee's name escapes me. I don't want to give the wrong name. Okay? Right. Yeah, I think I remember the name, but I'm going to let it go. But I don't want to risk giving the wrong name and name.
Go ahead, Jack. You talk. I want to see who it is now. I'll look at. I'll go with
the Joseph Ekbeko fight, because I mean, it's a terrible thing if you name the wrong name and think the worst reffing job, and it's actually the wrong guy. But I remember, it was outrageous. That was the first time they fought, the first fight.
The match was marred by referee Russell Moore's failure to penalize several blows from Maris, which sparked debate among fans and analysts. Despite the controversy, Maris won the fight by unanimous decision, claiming the IBF title. Okay, Russell Moore. Is that who you were thinking of?
Yeah. I didn't want to just... Yeah. It's unfortunate. But getting off that to heavyweight. So Fury and Joshua are fighting. I think we both agree if there's going to be a major upset, I think we both agree more likely than not it would be Joshua getting upset than Fury. The day apart.
Absolutely,
a day apart. And I don't get it why Fury's fighting in Thailand now. For Fury Joshua to take place, all parties have to be on board. And Fury's unpredictable. Fury is aligned with Dana White, and Joshua is aligned with Eddie Hearn. And what disturbs me the most, and we touched upon this, I think, a show or two ago, is where the fight might take place. If this fight doesn't take place in the UK, every fan in the UK should say to heck with it, not even get it or pay attention. They should basically boycott it. It's absolutely outrageous. What could be the difference? Let's say, Joshua and Fury are each going to get paid, let's say for argument's sake, 60, $70 million, for argument's sake. So you mean to tell me if both Fury and Joshua, instead of making 60 million or fight elsewhere for 75 million, they should be supported by fans in the UK? Did they give a darn that the fans will have to travel to, let's say, Los Angeles, where there's speculation the fight will be held at Vegas? I mean, it's a slap in the face to every
I
boxing
can't see the
fan.
fight happening in the States,
And
Jack.
if Joshua cared and Fury about the fans at all, they would insist it be on the UK. That shows me they don't give a damn about the fans at
So
all.
you think they're just
It's not
jockeying for money?
listening. Oh, it's strictly a money thing, because they might. I understand the weather could play a role in it at this point, because they're both fighting in July. In reality, there should be a turnaround, and the fight could take place a couple of months later. But
They should fight November.
come November, the weather starts becoming a little rough. But you want to know something? I'd sooner delay the darn fight into the following May, rather than go
Oh,
to
Jack, I
America
wouldn't do that.
fight. No, then
With
they
these
shouldn't
two, who
put it
knows what
place.
could happen?
Listen, they don't even have to fight in the interim. People are going to turn out. Like I said early in the show, it's about the brand, Frank. It's not about merit. Neither guy's done anything on merit for a while. What has Joshua done? He has last two fights. He's won two fights in the last few years. He stopped Nagano in 2 rounds. Kudos to him. He restored the honor of boxing. But Frank, Nagano hadn't won a professional boxing match, and he stopped Jake Paul. A cute little win, but Jake Paul was a little guy who, is really a competent 8-round fighter, a competent cruiserweight, a competent 8-round cruiserweight.
Jack, I'll tell you what, I'm not convinced that if they both win the end of this month, I'm still not convinced that they're going to fight. The fight is 10 years overdue. I was talking to a friend about this the other night, and I know you don't believe me, and I'll watch it. But as far as interest in that fight, I'm telling you, I have about as much interest in Joshua and Fury fighting as I would as if Mike Tyson and David Tua came out of retirement and fought.
Yeah, I mean, and I wonder.
I'm tired of their act, Jack. I'm tired of Fury's act. I'm tired of Joshua's act. It's like, for all the reasons you said about Joshua, Fury's mouth gets on my nerves. He never looks that good. And it's like, it's a money grab, because what does it mean if they win? Neither one will ever sniff the title again.
Yeah, well, while all this is going on, Usyk gave up all his belts to his lineal champion, and Usyk is the legitimate world heavyweight champion. It's fine. He didn't retire. He gave up his sanctioning body belts. A big difference involved. It's not like Ali retiring before Frazier fought Ellis, because had Ali not retired before the Frazier-Ellis fight, I couldn't recognize Frazier and Ellis as being for the full heavyweight title. But because Ali retired, that made it legitimate. But Usyk's not retiring. Now he's taking on Deontay Wilder. I'll give Wilder credit for this. I thought he was a completely shot fighter. Okay? Against Chisora, he showed he's only semi-shot. Okay? He still has something, not a great, more than I thought he had, put it that way, but not what he had before.
And Usyk, his mindset is the 3 top guys, aside from himself, of that era were Fury, Joshua, and Wilder. He wants to say he fought and beat all 3.
Yeah, and you get the feeling that Usyk means that this is his farewell fight, and he wants it against the big name. And Wilder no longer has the big punch that he had, when he was younger. Even though he could hit hard enough to, maybe damage Usyk if he could nail him, which I don't think he's going to hit him much. And Wilder does have a lot of heart. He has a ton of heart. Yeah, he'll hang
Right.
in there and he'll give his best. But he's getting out in time if this is his farewell fight because
Usyk
Moses is
realized
confident
against
in the rise.
Jack. Usyk realized against Vera Heron in his last fight that it's not there. He's not the, he hit the crest. He's on the downside now, and I respect him. It's time to get out. There's nothing I love seeing more than great fighters getting out with their health, their wealth, and respect, and before they take a beating. And we could name on maybe one hand, since we've been following boxing, how many fighters. Let's just say we both started following boxing. I started in '64. I think you were probably around the same 1964. Okay, so let's
Well,
round
that's
it.
when
Make
I
it
first heard, right? Now, 64, when I was a kid, all the other kids were talking about the Clay Liston fight. They were all going for Clay. Of course, I
right.
was going for Liston, and that set off a lifetime.
So that's when you
saying
became a
picking
fan,
the
right?
wrong guy.
Is that when you became a fan? Because that's when I was
I
introduced to
will
boxing,
say I
and that's
really became, the Griffith Archer fight intrigued me, a great deal. In 66, 67, Ali Terrell, that's when it really like took off.
okay. So 64 for me, 67 for you.
No,
Okay.
no, close. You could say 60, 66. I know I always
Okay. So
liked it.
roughly the same time. And it
Close
was all because of
64.
Ali, of course. Okay.
Yeah.
My point is this. How many fighters, let's try to do it. How many fighters since 1965 can we say got out at the exact perfect time? Guys that come to my mind are Monzon, Crawford, Lennox Lewis. Who else?
Andre
I mean,
Ward.
Mayweather,
Andre Ward. Frank.
Andre
Frank.
Ward, Calzaghe.
I think you're missing the point to a degree. You're 100% correct if you talk about career-wise and legacy as a fighter. But yeah, but when you said before, well, getting out with all your marbles, this and that, these guys, there's a long-term effect on them. These guys, they're fighting too long. Even a guy like Mayweather, those exhibition fights, you get hit. You get hit when you spar a little in the gym. I mean, when you're younger, it's another matter. But when you've had a long career, I don't think Andre Ward's going to have that problem because I think he drew the line and got out right before. Look, a guy like Carlos Palomino, he lost the last two fights of his career, split decision to Wilfred Benitez, losing his title. It should have been unanimous, but it was a competitive fight. And then lost the decision to Roberto Duran. And then he got out at the perfect time. Lost two fights, didn't just hang around for the sake of it. Mike Spinks got out at the perfect time.
He basically got out at the right time too. So did Marvin Hagler.
But the punches, unfortunately, have had an effect on Michael Spinks.
But Jack, my point is this. You're right. Nobody knows what the future holds. We both agree that Ward's going to be okay. I think Crawford will be okay. Who knows if Monzon was okay? My point is, when they get out, everything seems to be okay. Where other guys, and the list is so long that they just didn't get out at the right time. And we knew that then. Sure.
Well, okay, let's put it this way. If you could retrace Muhammad Ali's career and you can be in charge of it, when would you have retired him after what fight? Let's say Ali, and you could have a look back if Ali were alive. Okay, you want to preserve, you're thinking of his legacy and his health. Okay, but you can't be overcautious because if you're going to be overcautious, you're going to retire him after the first Liston fight. You know what I'm saying.
No,
Frank.
the perfect time. There were no dragons to slay after Manila. That's when he should have retired.
Yeah. Okay, if he didn't have Manila, that meant a lot for his legacy positively.
He had to win that series with Frazier.
Joe Frazier, when would have been the perfect time for Frazier to get out?
I would say Manila also, but I mean, if I can't say Manila, then when would it be? He can't retire after the fight of the century.
After the Ron Stander fight, because he would have fought 2 more fights after the fight of the century. So all the talk, he was beaten up so bad, that talk would continue, but he would have fought a couple of more fights. And then you know what I would have had Joe do? I would have had him run the Philadelphia Marathon, another marathon, train for that to show, look, I'm physically fit. I'm just tired. Everything with boxing in the business.
You could, Jack, there was a school of thought around him, though, that he really retired mentally after the fight of the century.
Oh, you couldn't get up for it. You couldn't get up mentally.
He climbed the mountain and achieved everything he wanted to achieve, and then some. How about Sugar Ray Leonard? Once he retire?
Well, he was forced into his first retirement with the detached retina
after Bruce Finch.
I mean, Leonard made a great point because he lost his last couple of fights to Terry Norris and Hector Camacho, and Leonard said people told me not to take those fights, but they also told me not to fight Hagler. And had he listened to them, he wouldn't have had that defining moment in his career. And as it turns out, amongst Leonard's greatest wins, the Hagler fight, as controversial as it is to some people, not to me and you, but to a lot of people, it's a bigger fight for his legacy than.
That's when he should have left, Jack. He should have never come back. He should have never come back.
After the Hagler, right. That,
no. No, he embarrassed him. No, he should have that like you said, that sealed everything. If there was ever a doubt, that sealed it. He should have got out then. How about Hagler?
Hagler, perfect time, as it turned out. You want to know why? Because even with the loss to Leonard, as time goes by, more and more, the majority
doesn't hurt him as much as it did.
No, but the majority of the people seem to feel Hagler won. I'm at the Boxing Writers Dinner. Wally Matthews is accepting an award for John Saraceno, who, I heard wasn't doing well, a writing award. And Wally mentioned something to the effect about Hagler beating Leonard. And Ron Borges is sitting, a couple of seats from me at my table saying, yeah, I have Hagler beating Leonard too. And if you go around the room, it seems like more people have Hagler winning the fight as time goes on, more so than even Leonard. And I don't see it from my end. Say it was a close fight. I can understand if you make a case for a draw for Marvin. But listen, this is how I look at it. Like I gave you an example of Holyfield and Lewis, and you were uncomfortable with the way I scored it, but you understood how I explained it. I'm going to explain it the same way with Leonard and Hagler. There were 7 rounds that were clear. No doubt who won it. 5, Leonard won clear 5 rounds. I don't want to argue that. Hagler won 2 rounds clearly in my book. That left 5 coin toss rounds. If you were going to say Hagler won 4 of those 5 coin toss rounds, then you could give him a draw. He'd have to have won all 5 coin tosses to get the decision.
But he did, and he did. He did. He just did.
I mean, but 5 rounds could have gone either way in that fight. 5 of those rounds, the way I look at it. But normally one guy should get 3, the other guy 2 if you have that situation. That's the law of averages.
I don't see the argument with that fight. I mean, Leonard didn't run away with it, but Leonard clearly won the fight. When should Holmes have gotten out?
Oh, boy. That is a good question. Had he won the rematch with Spinks, the best time on reflection would have been after he beat David Bay, went to 47-0, but he thought he'd have an easy fight with Michael Spinks, and he was caught up on the mythical record that was a creation of the media, Marciano 49-0. That's not a record. It was created, the imagination. I mean, come on. Where do you get that? Marciano holds a record 49-0. Who holds a record? Guys did better than 49-0, and then they, lost fights. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, it was a great accomplishment by Rocky. Don't get me wrong. Rocky had a magnificent career, and
Didn't
Rocky,
duck
to his
anybody.
credit, Rocky Marciano was smart enough to get out at the perfect time. I mean, it was brilliant. So in one sense, Rocky is you know, one of the greatest fighters ever, because he had such superb judgment when to end his career.
But Jack, think about being undefeated. It just lives forever. When you never suffer that loss, it lives forever. And the further you go, it does get bigger. Marciano at 48-1, totally different legacy. If Mayweather doesn't get the decision against Castillo, I know you think he deserved it, but most people thought he lost that fight.
I had it a draw.
Okay, draw. But if he doesn't get that decision, his career's looked at completely different.
No, not necessarily. I know what you're saying, Frank. I understand, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but consider this, okay? If I get 20 of the most knowledgeable boxing people together, and we ask who is a greater fighter, Andre Ward or Roy Jones? I mean, how many are going to say Andre Ward? None of them might say that. And Ward was a great fighter, and he was unbeaten. I'll say Joe Calzaghe, Roy Jones. Even Joe Calzaghe says Roy Jones was, the best. I mean,
but Jack, the point is, if Joe Calzaghe was undefeated, we wouldn't have that conversation. But the fact that he's undefeated, forget that he beat an old Roy. The fact that he's undefeated is why we had the conversation. I mean, look, my favorite team, the Dolphins, undefeated. That keeps them up there. They had one game against the Buffalo Bills that year. They won by 1 point. What if they lose that game? They went back and won the Super Bowl. They're one of the great teams, but nobody's ranking them as high as other people do. And a lot of people that follow the sport, their 73 team was actually better than the 72 team. So,
near misses. Look, the Knicks just won the NBA championship. Patrick Ewing never won an NBA title. But in the finals, game 6 against Houston, they're down 2 points. John Starks is taking a 3-point that got blocked by Olajuwon. Imagine John Starks hits that shot. The Knicks are NBA champions under Ewing, and Pat Riley is their coach. Just think of how big that would have been. They didn't quite get it done. I get that.
That's sports. Everything. How many games can we say that about? Look at Scott Norwood. What if he makes that field goal? Bill Parcells is not the legend that he is today.
Well, even Tom Coughlin, okay, he's a 2-time Super Bowl winning champion, and to get to the Super Bowl, both the NFC title games, the Giants won in overtime. They could have easily lost both, meaning no Super Bowl for him, none for Eli. So all this talk of whether Eli Manning belongs in the Hall of Fame, all we're going to hear, well, he never went to a Super Bowl. It's Phillip Rivers should wind up in the Hall of Fame, I think, someday. But had he won a Super Bowl, it would be a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Yeah, but now it might get delayed. He'll get in eventually, I think. I think sooner rather than later. But
Jack, I hate to end on a bad note, but since we're talking about guys not getting out at the right time and who did you happen to see that sad tape of Chris Bird?
I didn't have the heart to. I saw the beginning when he came out, and I didn't want to watch it, and I moved on. You could tell he got knocked out. Was it a real?
He got stopped, Jack, by a guy that was he was a nothing.
But
I think I had 4 or 5 fights.
Yeah,
it was pathetic, and I'm sure you met Chris Bird back when he was on top. You couldn't have met a nicer guy.
Casually,
I spent a lot of time with Chris Bird around him when he fought, because he fought in AC a lot. And I'll tell you what, Jack, he was what a good soul he was. Just a good guy, down to earth, didn't overstate who he was or what he accomplished. And it's just so sad. It's I don't know if he needs money. I don't know if he has health issues or what, but seeing him fighting, I think he was a middleweight. And it's I'm sitting there and I'm watching this. I'm thinking this guy outboxed David Tua 7 ways to Sunday, and here he is against a guy who I could go rounds with. And
I thought
it,
I
it,
thought
it
you
was
were
that.
going to mention Mark Breland, okay?
I
Bill
forgot about that.
Right, Bill Detloff, writer Bill Detloff did a magnificent story on
Well,
Mark
he caught
Breland.
up with him,
He
right?
he went with Breland's family, friends. They tracked Breland down where
So
he
what
was
was the issue? I
staying.
didn't read the article.
Yeah, it's something they feel, according to the article, that Breland's wife is trying to keep him away from the family, and and it was insinuating she might not have Breland's best interests at heart. That's what it was kind of insinuated in a sense in the article. There was a certain fear that if Breland's wife knew they had, showed up, she'd have him move to another place. I don't know how, a lot of times someone is accused of something, and the person being accused could be the nicest person, and they could have someone else's best interest at heart 100%, but a certain image takes place. So I'm not being judgmental here at all. And
Were
no one
you
else
around
should
Breland
be.
at all recently?
No, I used to be around them. I had so much fun with that guy. One of the nicest guys.
I know he's a really good guy.
Oh, Frank, I even punked him once with Gabe Perillo, a Golden Glove champion of the lighter weight. Breland always loved coming over to me because I once said, I could have beaten you, blah, blah, blah. And he loved to joke about it. He would initiate the joking. So I told Gabe, we were at this boxing function, Breland's going to come over to me and talk about me and him. Had we fought, what would have happened? And Gabe and myself planned it out. Breland used to knock out everyone in one round. And Gabe was all set, we planned it out. Gabe said, are you out of your mind? This guy would have destroyed you, Breland. How could you even joke, Jack, that you could have beaten this guy? And Breland, and while he's saying that, Breland has the biggest smile on his face. And then Gabe says, Jack, you're out of your mind. Breland would have destroyed you within 2 rounds. When he said 2 rounds, the smile left Breland's face, and he's thinking, what do you mean 2 rounds? I knocked out everyone in 1 round in the amateurs. You mean Jack might have actually competed? So it was the funniest thing, seeing the smile leave his face. Like we punked him in that one. So it was so much, the nicest guy you're going to want to meet, Mark Breland. Not a finer guy. I'm telling you, not a finer guy.
Down. He never caught it. He never trained anybody after Wilder let him go in 2020.
No, not to my knowledge. No, not to my knowledge. And I hope Deontay Wilder just appreciates what Mark Breland was trying to do for him, because Wilder was hitting the danger zone in that fight. He was hitting the danger zone, but I guess fighters like Wilder have such a big ego. They take it as an insult. Look, Evander Holyfield fired Don Turner because he stopped his fight with James Toney. He never wants a fight stopped Holyfield no matter what. No matter what. Maybe they could tolerate it if they're in the corner, maybe. But they certainly can't tolerate it while the action's going on. And what could I say?
Jack, I do think because that the money at the top is just so ridiculous now. I don't think we're going to see as many guys come back and have the same type of afflictions that some of the guys of our era are experiencing now, because they're just not going to have as many fights. They're not going to have as many tough fights. The block isn't as tough as it was back then.
Frank, we got to get off. Quick prediction, the soccer game is going to begin as soon as the show ends. USA or Belgium, who are you picking?
I can't go against the US of A, Jack.
Same here.
It's not an educated guess at all. I just can't go against the American team.
Go USA, okay? I'll see you next week, and let's hope the USA is still in the World Cup when we do the show next week.
This is elimination, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you next week.